What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the PGA DFS model breakdown. I did not have a great week at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. It was still a lot of fun. Didn't have a lot of drama there on Sunday. Thomas Dietrich kind of ran away with it, but good to see him in the winner's circle. I think he's 32 years old. First win on the PGA Tour. We also had a nice showing from Daniel Berger. We've kind of seen him work his way back from injury over the last couple of years. So good to see him play well. And now we turn our attention to the Genesis Invitational, usually one of my favorite events of the year at Riviera. Unfortunately, the fires have caused them to move this event. Luckily, we get another great golf course. We get Torrey Pines. We saw it a few weeks ago. Very difficult test of golf. Harris English won with a score of -8. And that was with one of the rounds being on the North course. We're going to get all four of the rounds on the South course, which is extremely difficult. So it's almost 7,800 yards. It's par 72. It's one of those courses where the fairways are tough to hit, even for the most accurate drivers of the ball. So driving distance does play a big factor here, especially since the holes are so long. The greens are tough to hit. They're pretty small, so that brings around the green into play. You're going to have a lot of approach shots from over 200 yards. In last year's edition of the Farmers at Torrey Pines South, over 35% of approach shots came from at least 200 yards. So you're going to get a lot of long irons. You're going to get a major benefit to those that can get it out there off the tee. Around the green is going to be important. I'm also heavily looking at guys that play well in California, guys that play well in strong fields. This is the signature event. And then guys that play well on long and difficult courses. We'll cover all that here in a minute in terms of the guys that have played the best in those circumstances. But yeah, so there's only 72 golfers in the field with this being a signature event. The top 15 ties plus anyone within 10 strokes of the lead will make the cut. It's kind of like the Masters cut rule, where there's really only like 70 guys each year at the Masters that have a chance to make the cut if you take out all the past champions that don't really, can't really be competitive anymore. So I like the cut. It's not going to be a major cut. You're going to see a very high 66%, but at least Thursday and Friday are going to matter a little bit more than they do at the other signature events where there is no cut. And again, Torrey Pines, a very difficult course, and you can rely on course history from the Farmers Insurance Open. So I do have that in the model. And let's get right into it. I have a 7% weight, 2 strokes gained off the tee. Now I did adjust the time frames a little bit for the stats. So I went with 2025 as the first column, the last 12 months as the second column, and the last 18 months as the third column. After we get going a little bit in the season, I like to use 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. But I mean, a lot of golf wasn't played from, October, November, and December, especially with a lot of the top golfers in the world. So I don't want, 1 or 2 tournaments from then to really impact the stats a bunch. So I only have weighted 2025 numbers at 1%. So guys that have less than 6 rounds don't have any numbers here because, I don't want them to be too heavily weighted based on a small sample size. But I only have it at 1%, and then I got 3% to the 12 months and 18 months. Driving distance, only looking at 12 months and 18 months, have it at 6%, which is very high. Probably the highest that we're going to see until we get into Augusta National for the Masters. Strokes gained approach, I have 2% to 2025, and then 3%, 3%, 3%. Again, the expected column here takes into account where golfers are going to be expected to hit their approach shots from and how good they are at those specific yardages. So Scheffler's expected to gain the most strokes on approach based on this specific course, followed by Henley, Lowry, JT, and Højgaard. Now, Højgaard has been playing some good golf, finished T12 last week, finished T22 the week before. It's pretty incredible that him and his twin brother are both like top 75 golfers in the world. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I think it should be more talked about in terms of the PGA Tour or the DP World Tour. Green regulation, I'm have it at 1% for each of the 12 months, 18 months. Not huge, but I mean, if you can hit greens on a regular basis, you do tend to play well here. When we saw Tiger, that was one of his big strengths during his prime. He won here a bunch. Paul Casey's got a good track record here. Jason Day, pretty good at hitting greens. Elite track record here. Justin Rose, kind of the same thing. Guys that tend to hit a lot of greens do play well here. 6% to around the green, 9% to putting. I didn't have any just 20-25 putting splits because putting's already volatile as it is. And so if you just look at numbers from the past, 5 weeks, you're not going to get a very good indication of a true golfer's skill on the greens. And then 3% to Poana greens, 2% to birdie or better, 4% to bogey avoidance. Now, course history, I have it at 5%. Again, this is course history from Torrey Pines, not from the Genesis Invitational, because it's not going to be played at Rib this year. The one thing I'm not going to miss is hole number 10 at Rib. My guys never birdied that hole. It's a drivable par 4. They always end up right by the green and then somehow end up bogeying it. It never fails every year. So I'm not going to miss that, but I do love Riv. And I am going to miss Tiger, not going to be in the field this week. He was supposed to play, ended up withdrawn on Monday. Okay, let's take a look at the golfers who have played the best on long and difficult courses. These are all over the last 3 years, okay? Scotty Scheffler, number 1, Rory 2, Tommy 3, followed by Hideki and Keegan Bradley. Guys that have played the best in California over the last 3 years, Scheffler 1, Morikawa, Homa, Cantlay, and Zalatoris. Now, Zalatoris, very hit or miss recently, but he's playing a little bit better. He's making cuts. He loves this course. He probably should have won here in 2022, lost to a playoff to Blue List. Had an outright on him that week, so I remember it very vividly. Showcasing in very strong fields. Again, Scheffler at the top. So Scheffler's at the top of the stat model. All 3 of the miscellaneous metrics that I'm looking at, he's number 1, and pretty much all of the finish percentiles as well. And then in the long-term form, he's going to be number 1 as well. So Scheffler, I will talk about him here in a minute, but followed by Rory, Tommy, Shane Lowry, and Colin Morikawa. So you're going to see a lot of overlap. Morikawa's up there twice. Lowry's up there once. Fleetwood's up there a couple times. Hovland's number 6 in a couple of these categories. So then you just have your cuts made and recent finishes. It shows, how often they've been playing over the last 10 weeks and their results. I have the top 5, top 10, and top 25 percentile finishes at 4% each. Again, if you're chasing upside, you can bump up this column. If you're chasing safety, you can bump up this column. With it being, a smaller cut this week, and with it probably 60 to 70% of the field making the cut, I don't mind looking to bump up this column here, chase some more upside. That's kind of what I do in no-cut events. And then we have short-term, mid-term, and long-term form. Field strength, I only have a 9%. I might end up adjusting maybe bogey avoidance down a little bit and bumping up field strength index a little bit as well. Okay, let's talk about the overall ratings. Very top, we have Scotty Scheffler, quite a ways ahead of Rory McIlroy coming off the win. Look, Scheffler had a really bad back 9 in Phoenix. I think he was 5 over, which is pretty crazy. He was top 5 after his front 9. Really struggled on the back 9. It was very surprising, but I'm not overly concerned. He's still gained 2.4 or 2.2 off the tee, 2.4 on approach, 2.1 on the greens. He's now gained strokes putting in 15 of his last 19 events, which is crazy for a guy with his tee to green prowess. He was plus 275 to win last week in a full field event, and now he's plus 425 to win in a limited field event on a course that demands more tee to green. So I'm betting Scheffler this week. I typically don't bet a lot of huge favorites, but he's the only guy on my outright card for the week, at least right now. I might add a little bit on Jason Day, a little bit on Adam Scott, because I'm betting them top 5 and top 10. And I'm also going to bet Scheffler top 5. It's plus 105 right now, which seems like one of the better bets of the week. You're getting plus money on a guy that almost always finishes in the top 5. And this is a small field, and it's an event that really demands tee green play, like I mentioned. Then you have Rory and Morikawa. I think Morikawa will play well. He hits a lot of fairways, good with his long irons. He doesn't have the distance that some of these other guys have. So I'm not sure if he can win here, but I do think he can post a top 10 finish. He could be an interesting tournament play. Hideki's form's cooled off since his win. He does have a pretty good track record at Torrey Pines, plays Farmer Insurance every year. Ludwig Aberg, I think he's going to be way under-owned at 9,800. He ended up playing bad over the weekend at Torrey Pines a few weeks ago, and then he ended up withdrawing in his next start. So I think that could help lower his ownership. JT's been playing some great golf. Don't mind looking to him. He has gained some speed. He's 13th in driving distance over the last 12 months. Not a guy that you think of. They can get it out there ways. No strong take on Cantlay. He loves playing in California, but he doesn't play this event very often. So probably not going to have a ton of him, even though he projects fairly well for me. Tommy Fleetwood, very high floor, worry about his feeling, but one of his best skills is playing well on difficult courses and in strong fields, as you can see here. So maybe I will get some Tommy. Under 10% ownership definitely sounds interesting. Sungjae likes this course. He does have a bunch of top 10 finishes over the last 6 months as well. Henley, I worry about his lack of distance off the tee, one of the worst in the field. He is a very good iron player. I'll give him that. Very good around the green too. So it's one of the few shorter hitters that I could see posting a top 10 here. I don't know if I want to pay 8,600 for him, even though the model does like him a little bit. Lowry, no issue there. Love Adam Scott this week. He just always plays well in California. Good track record in majors, some difficult golf courses. He's been playing well. So I do like Adam Scott quite a bit. Sam Burns, man, you just can't seem to put it all together right now. Probably not going to have a lot of him, even though the model likes him at 8,400. Tony Finau, been very hit or miss since returning from injury, but he is coming off of a T13 finish, and he does have 3 top 10s here in the last 5 years. So I don't mind looking to Tony Finau a little bit. Pendrith, we saw him play very well here. I think it was this week here, T7. And Torrey, back-to-back top 10s for him at this course. Tigala, again, a guy that I always try to play in California. Hovland seems a bit lost at the moment. Don't know what I'm going to do there. McNeely has been playing some good golf too, very consistent, another California guy. Wyndham Clark got off to that great start last week and then kind of fell apart, bounced back a little bit on Sunday. I don't know. I'm just not really on Wyndham Clark right now. I know he won the U.S. Open in California, so you can maybe make those ties on a fairly difficult course. But yeah, there's something about his game right now that's not clicking. Keegan, I'm okay being underweight on Keegan, even though he does have the good track record at Torrey. Corey Connor is pretty safe for a cash game, pretty good price point there. Even though Jason Day doesn't project well for me, I'm going to be overweight. I want to get probably 20-25% Jason Day. So he's played here 13 years in a row at the Farmers. During that stretch, I think he has 7 top 10s and 2 wins. He finished T32 here a couple weeks ago, and he lost 6 strokes putting in those 3 rounds at Torrey. So that's not expected from a guy like Jason Day, who typically lights it up on the greens. Siwoo Kim doesn't have the distance, but he has gained a little bit of speed recently over the last couple of years. I'm okay with him at 7,100. Probably going to be off of Tom Kim, not very long off the tee, but he has been apparently picking up speed. Although there were some questions about that in his last start. The ball speed hadn't changed much, so not sure what to do there. Sam Stevens was a great play for me. He almost won here a few weeks ago. Ended up being on that team that took down a bunch of single entry tournaments for me. So I'll go back to Sam Stevens. Love Minwoo Lee this week. He's a bomber. He's great around the green. I mean, that is just the perfect recipe for this course. Also 3 straight top 20 finishes. Finished T12 last week despite putting poorly. So Minwoo, one of my favorite plays on the board, 7,800. Straka continues to play well, man. I have not been on him during this stretch. 6 straight top 30s, 3 top 10s, and a win. I'm not going to be on him again at 8,000. Denny, I worry about his length off the tee. Dietrich coming off the win, I worry about that. Benyon has plenty of distance. I think he's number 1 in this field in driving distance. So I'll play some Benyon. Akshay, no strong take there. Højgaard, no strong take there. Young has the distance that we're looking for. He hasn't been very good, but he did finish T12 last week, and he's one of those guys that tends to string together good finishes. So I will play some Cameron Young. I'll play some Aaron Rai. He's not a very long hitter, but he is an elite long iron player, and he has played well here in the past. Bobby Mack has been in great form. Might play a little bit of him. He's longer off the tee than I expected. Top 25 in this field in distance, which I do like. I mentioned Zalatoris a while ago. Don't mind going there. I think a lot of people are going to play Ben Griffin, but Ben Griffin is at his best on short courses, and he's at his best on easy courses. This is not a short course. As you can see here, look, long and difficult, not good. California, not good. Very strong field, not good. This is not a Ben Griffin course, at least not in my eyes. I will gladly fade him in all formats, and he's one of those guys that I typically play a lot too. So that's coming from somebody that plays Griffin very often. Horschel missed the cut last week. That was his first time in 11 years. He missed the cut at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Don't mind going back there. I like Thompson a little bit. Not going to play Homa. If there's anybody else down here that I want to play, let's go over to driving distance here. So speed, surprisingly, very good driver of the ball, coming off of a good finish. But man, Torrey Pines has not treated him well in the past, and 1 good finish doesn't really make up for 2 years of bad finishes. Probably not going to be on speed. Maybe take a little bit of Jaeger. He did miss the cut here this year, but last year he was T3. I'll play some Patrick Rogers. I'll play some Kevin Yu. Michael Kim with a really good week last week. He's picked up some speed. And that'll just about do it for me. So again, I'm only betting Scheffler this week, and then I'm adding top 5 and top 10 bets on Minwoo Lee, Jason Day, and Adam Scott. So best of luck, everybody. We will catch you back here next week.